So I would love to dive into one of the examples we have discussed a lot on ecosystem thinking and innovation inside your work and how you do this. So you told me the story about going into Africa and visiting and refugee camps and all of that. Can you give a little bit of background how you built up an innovation ecosystem in that environment?
There are many refugee camps around the world, and for most of them, they become small cities. They become societies where people live. Hundreds of thousands of people, even millions of people, live and establish themselves in refugee settlements. And what is sort of an issue that goes again in most refugee camps around the world is that it's a very linear society. Food are brought in, water is brought in, and of course people are kept at a basic level in terms of not starving and having enough water and things like that. But it's also it takes a lot of there's a lot of negative environmental consequences often. And also a lot of negative social consequences for the people living in refugee camps around the world. That is sort of a perspective. What we want is to try and change that with a systemic, new methodic, innovative approach that we call Camp Plus. We want to turn the negative aspects of refugee settlements into something positive, both environmentally, financially. It's very expensive to run a refugee camp. It takes constant funding because it's not self-sustained, but also the environmental aspect of things, of course. The social aspect of things. People in refugee camps are often not very well off. Yeah. And it takes toll on people living in settlements, in camps, not being able to live your life fully. The average refugee in the African continent lives 17 and a half years in a camp. That's the entire childhood. There are people live there 3 generations.